Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara. Welcome to That Witchy Library Lady. Today's video, we are discussing my September reading. I'm going to do a little wrap up of everything that I read in September. We will be discussing my October TBR, my next video, and also doing a little spinning wheel and picking a couple books to be added to my TBR for quarter four. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Okay. So we're going to start off talking about what has happened since I last checked in with you. I have a little doc here on my laptop. Let's just open it up and take a quick look. So we can get started on what's been going on. So I know that I had done a little TBR pick, and I spun a wheel and picked some stuff, and I didn't read a single one of them. I also didn't read my book that I picked from the most interesting first page when I was at the library. Didn't read that book for September either. September, I don't know what was going on in September. In September, I ended up reading The River Has Roots, Drop of Corruption, and Sunburn. And Sunburn is just a random thing that I picked up walking through the library, and I loved it. I was obsessed with it. So that was a 5-star read for me. And then I listened to my friends, The Best of Friends, and some of Drop of Corruption. I did both for Drop of Corruption, both physical reading and audio. So I decided that I wasn't going to do things the way that I had done them prior. So now I'm doing quarter 4 instead of fall. So it'll be October, November, December, quarter 4. And so I was going to spin the wheel again, but this time I have a stack. I will show you momentarily, but I have 20 books out from the library. So what I'm going to do instead is, right now I'm doing a Halloween read. I will get into those books in just a moment, but that is what I'm doing currently. I am doing a Halloween reading vlog, which the actual vlog will be posted before Halloween. Probably very close to Halloween, maybe the 28th or 29th of October. And so right now I'm reading those books. Currently I'm reading Hunger Stone. I really like it. I think it's great. And then I'm currently listening to Opium and Absinthe, which I was told was a vampire story, and it's not really. I mean, the main character is looking for who killed her sister, and she thinks it's a vampire, but it's not really a vampire story. It's more like an addiction story. Opium and Absinthe, the main character has a little bit of an issue with her opium use. We start off the book with her falling off a horse and breaking her clavicle and obviously needing pain medication. And as we all know, that's, a lot of the route that people take is they become addicted to these pain medications, and it is sending her down a crazy path. And I also already finished Whistle, which is a very old school Stephen King style horror. Growing up, I read Stephen King. I loved Fear Street. I liked Christopher Pike. I like those very nostalgic, not super, I don't know. I mean, I do like current horror as well that's way more female rage, or has way more of a message along with it. But just the old school fun, supernatural horror of the 90s and stuff that I was reading and or consuming. That was also my genre of movie, was also horror when I was a kid. I really liked horror movies as well. You know, I loved reading scary stories to tell in the dark. Like, all of those things were my jam. So I really enjoyed that as well. I'm not supposed to be talking about this stuff. This is for the Halloween vlog, so we're not gonna go any further. My screen keeps going. So I'm not gonna go any further into that. But that is what I have read since I last checked in with you. Okay. So I guess we'll start with a little wrap up of what I thought of the books. So, first, I finished The River Has Roots. Let me go to my Goodreads so that we can. Don't I have my read? No. Okay. My books. My wife. I think I might have said that in my last one too, and then made fun of Ned. But that might have been the little blurb that's going in here that I haven't actually done yet. So, I don't know. Okie dokie. So read. Let's see what I have read. Is that Doug? Is that the theme song to Doug? Okay. Anyway. Okay, so The River Has Roots is by Amal El-Motar. Maybe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I do not know. And I finished that one. That one is a very little baby novella. And I read that from September 1st to September 4th. So that was my first book of the month. And I gave it a 5. It was actually really good. It's like a fantasy fairy tale little story about two sisters, and it was just really, really delightful. Basically, they live in a world where, like, their family protects the trees that are on either side of this river, and they sing to the tree to, like, kind of show their gratification to the tree. And one of the sisters meets a sort of mysterious being who they sort of have a romance with, a little bit of a courtship. And the being is not really of their world. They live in this other section, which the two sisters got lost in once when they were children, and so the sister that is in this little relationship has been hiding it from her sister because her sister disapproves of this other land because they got lost there and it was really scary, and she doesn't want her sister to leave her and go there. And like I said, it's just like a little fantasy story that is set in a way that a fairy tale would be. The prose is beautiful. It is written gorgeously. And it was just really delightful. It's only like 100, I think it's only like 100 page. Highly recommend if you are into fairy tales or romance, and it's, you know, I guess it's like queer, technically, maybe. Their partner kind of can, like, take any form, so, you know, I'm not sure if they actually have a gender, if they're genderless or not. Like I said, they're not from the same realm, so I'm not really sure, but it's, like, shelved as, queer, so there was that. The second one that I, oh god, what did I just do? The second one that I finished was My Friends. I've been wanting to read Anxious People and Beartown, and I just haven't gotten there yet. But My Friends was something that I had downloaded on Audible, and I didn't realize that it was there. And then when I was looking for something to listen to, I just, for some reason, was like, yeah, right now's the time for that book. And oh my god. Like, first of all, no one warned me. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I knew that his books were, like, emotional, I guess. But, like, so I gave it 4.5. 4.5 stars. And it would have been a 5-star, but the ending, like, got a little long for me. But, oh my god, I, like, cried the entirety of this book. Like, my tears started falling within the first, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of listening. Like, I just was bawling. Like, this book, I don't know what it was about this. I mean, nostalgia for childhood and friendships and, you know, all of that. But, whoo, it was a lot. It was a lot for me to listen to. It was beautiful. I liked it a lot. I love, like, friendships and coming-of-age stories, so it was very much right up my alley. I really enjoyed it. The next book that I finished was A Drop of Corruption, which is the second book in the Shadow of the Leviathan series. So it's the sequel to The Tainted Cup. And The Tainted Cup was one of my favorite books last year. It is sort of like a spin-off of, inspired by Sherlock Holmes, except in this universe, our Sherlock Holmes is a crazy woman, Anna, who just, like, is blindfolded and doesn't leave her house and can solve, like, all of these crazy murders. And she is wild, and I love her very much. She is what makes the stories fantastic. She, you know, is giving Sherlock Holmes. She's also giving Dr. House. It's very, I love her a lot. She just calls it like she sees it. She's so funny. This was also a 5-star for me. I have to say, September was amazing. I had 3 5s, a 4.5, and a 4. Crazy. Anyway, you know, I'm a lot of, like, a lot of 3.5s and 4s. I don't really read that many books that I hate. You know, every once in a while I have a 2. I don't think I've ever given a 1-star rating. 5-star, it's great if you like the first one. The second one, in my opinion, is even better. It was fantastic. I loved it. You get to know more about the universe and about Anna and, like, what, you know, how she got to be what she is. And there'll be even more. I think the author said that they'd be fine to just, like, keep writing this series. Like, they don't have, like, a specific number of novels that it's going to be, but, like, there's definitely going to be at least another one. And I'm excited to see what else we learn about her. And then I listened to The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry. By the way, Drop of Corruption is by Robert Jackson Bennett. I don't think I mentioned that. Like I said, 5 stars. Just a great, fantastical murder mystery series that I love very much. The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry is something that I also just had on my, I was going to just say a Kindle. I don't own a Kindle. On my Audible is a domestic thriller by Lucinda Berry, about 3 women who are best friends, who have been best friends since they were in school together, known each other their whole lives, never left their community, like, all live, you know, in the same block. And now they have 3 teenage boys who are also best friends, and one night they are having a sleepover. They are, like, in high school. They're, like, 16, I think. So, you know, a little strange that they're having a sleepover, but whatever. They're having, like, a boys' night, I guess, is a better way to say. And there is an accident, and 2 of them are shot. One of them dies. One of them is in a coma, and one of them is nonverbal, the one that did not get shot. And it is, you know, the 3 mothers trying to figure out what happened to their kids. And it was good. It definitely was really quick. I listened to it really fast. It was, the whole thing was engaging. The only thing I didn't like, I did listen to it on Audible, and one of the women's voices drove me crazy. I got used to it by the end of the, you know, 13-hour book or whatever, but at the beginning, God, I was like, I hate this woman's section. Like, every time I had to listen to her, it made me upset. Anyway, but overall I really liked it. That's my 4-star. The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry. Domestic thriller. Good. And finally I read Sunburn, which is by Chloe Michelle Howarth. I don't really know how to say her name. I'm assuming she is Irish. It's a story set in Ireland in the 90s. It is a little, no, I still need this. It's like a little sapphic love story, coming of age tale about two young girls who are in, like I said, they're in Ireland in the 90s, and they're, they're best friends, and the main character is, you know, slowly falling in love with Susanna, her best friend, and she's too, you know, shy to, like, say anything, or she doesn't really want to admit it to herself. She's not ready to, like, come out or anything. She comes from a very close-knit religious family, and, you know, she's trying to, like, push aside her feelings, but Susanna's very, like, open and free, and, you know, finally they kind of have a little acknowledgement that they are into each other, and a relationship begins, and it's basically about Lucy grappling with, what to do with her life. Is she going to stay in her hometown and, you know, do what everyone expects of her, marry the boy down the street who is like her best friend, who is obviously in love with her? You know, he has farmland that he's going to own once he's done with college, and it's like they could just have this really simple, happy life. That's an option. Or does she sort of say, screw all of that, and run off with her best friend? And it was a beautiful coming-of-age story. This is absolutely a 5 stars. This is my favorite book that I've read so far this year. I absolutely adored it. It was just so beautiful. It was so perfectly nostalgic for me. Like, I could tell the time period, just being in your backyard, spraying sun in your hair, rubbing on some baby oil, smoking too many cigarettes for absolutely no reason, getting drunk in a field. It had everything that I was doing at that age. The girls in the story are slightly older than me because this takes place in the early 90s, and I was the age of them in, like, the late 90s. But either way, completely relatable to me. Just hit me in the heartstrings the whole entire time. The main character, Lucy, I will warn you, she is insufferable. Gosh, sometimes you want to, like, grab her through the book and be like, what are you doing, Lucy? But, oh my god, it was so good. It was so good. It was fantastic, fantastic read. So that is everything that I have read in September. And now we're going to move on to what my next plans are, what is coming up, and, you know, how I'm going to do my new TBR since I'm scrapping the old number spinny wheel that I did because it wasn't working out for me. I tried to read the first book that I spun, that I picked out, couldn't do it. Then I started to read the second book that I spun, couldn't do it. I was like, I don't know what's going on with these books. Like, they all are books that I want to read, but I cannot physically do it. So, like I said, I didn't do any of the books that I was supposed to for the month of September. So, scratch all of that. We are starting over. We are doing a quarter 4 TBR. We will talk about that next. Alrighty. So, that was what we did for September. Our really unfortunate reading that we did. I guess unfortunate isn't really the word, but, you know, it was just, didn't go the way that I wanted it to. But, like I said, I have a lot of books here. So we're going to take all of these books that I have right now, and I'm going to put those into the spinny wheel. Anything that isn't for my spooky October Halloween reading vlog, which I'm doing right now. Anything that isn't for that, I'm going to put that in the spinning wheel, because these are all books that I picked that I, like, know that I want to read now. Not just stuff that's on a TBR, that is on, you know, Goodreads, just based on just random stuff that's at my library. This is stuff that I picked while I was at the library over the last week and a half, and we're going to put these into a spinning wheel now, and I'm going to pick which ones I'm going to read out of this next, and then anything else that I don't pick, going back to the library, and then when I'm done with these books, we will spin again, and we are going to do it that way. Okay? So, when I'm done with whatever, I'm going to return whatever I don't spin, read the 2 books that I pick, And then I'm going to go to the library, pick like 20 more books, and then do it again. And this is how we're going to start building, you know, our TBR for Q4. So we're going to, obviously we have a Halloween, and then we're going to do some themes for November and December as well. And then just to pad that out, we're going to pick stuff at the library. And instead of, you know, it's like every time I go to the library, there's so many things that I want to read. And then it's like, which ones do I pick? Which ones do I read? So this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to narrow down which ones of the things that I'm interested in are we actually going to read. And next month, you know, when I go back to the library, I may pick out 6 of the same books that I've had here that I didn't get to read, you know? The bitch was telling me to back off because the minute looked at me wrong. I'm obsessed with honey. Okay, so here are my books. Oops. These are the ones that I am, oh my god. These are the books that I have from the library that are not part of my spooky season TBR that I put into the wheel. I think the ones that I would really like to get picked are Bat Eater, Black Salt Queen, and How High We Go in the Dark. Those are the ones that I'm like, yes please give me those, I want to read them. But I have my little spinny wheel, so we're going to do our little spin. Okay, so here's our wheel, and I'm going to spin it now. You see it? I don't think you can see any of the... Okay. Spin, 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 spin. What do we get first? Alright, first one is I'll Be Waiting. Alright, next spin. I think I'm just going to pick 2 for right now, because I got a lot of Halloween bookies coming up. I forgot to remove I'll Be Waiting, but I don't care because I got How High We Go in the Dark. I put How High We Ho in the Dark, but it's How High We Go in the Dark. Ah, I'm really excited. Really want to read that one. Okay, so everything else is going back to the library on Monday. And I'm now going to share with you everything that I will be reading. Be back. Okay, so I have my Halloween spooky time books that I'm going to read, and the 2 that got picked from the spinny wheel, and we're just going to talk about those really quickly right now. We have the stuff from the spinny wheel. So we got I'll Be Waiting, which is by Kelly Armstrong. And we have How High We Go in the Dark, which is by Sequoia Nagamatsu. And I'm really excited about this one. I mean, literally the first thing it says is for stands? Okay, we can just be fans. For fans of Clad Outlist? Tara. I've been watching people play video games all day. My brain is fried. Okay. For fans of Cloud Atlas and Station 11, a spellbinding and profoundly prescient debut that follows a cast of intricately linked characters over hundreds of years as humanity struggles to rebuild itself in the aftermath of a climate plague. A daring and deeply heartfelt work of mind-bending imagination from a singular new voice. And I think most people that I've seen read this enjoyed it, if I recall correctly. The reviews that I saw were mostly like 4s, I think. Can't really remember. But I'm excited to read this one. I'm really glad it got picked. Now, these 2 are not technically just for October. This is Q4. I may have to add more as the quarter goes on, but these are the 2 that I've picked. And then I'll Be Waiting is a horror novel by Kelly Armstrong. This is a spellbinding supernatural horror that involves a haunted house, lost loved ones, and a spirit out for blood. Woo. So this one I'm going to try and read first, just because it does fit in with spooky October times. Also, if you, for some reason, zoom in on this video, my mascara that I grabbed was really old and clumpy, and it looks bad, so please don't. Okay, and then we have the rest of the stuff from my spooky vlog. So I'm currently reading Hungerstone. I'm about halfway through. I already discussed how I like it so far. Yeah, it's as we've gotten to the middle, it's getting a little slow. It's getting a little slow. And the main character, what's her name? Lorraine? No. Is it Lorraine? Lenore. And then the main character, Lenore, lady, like, I know it's 1888, but like, your entire existence is to like serve a man. You have like no other purpose. Like, can't even answer a question about what it is that you want in life. Get it together, girl. Get it together. We'll see how that goes. And then we got my two non-fickies. We got When We Spoke to the Dead, and this one, How Ghosts Gave American Women Their Voice. And this is about, like, I think also in the 1800s. Yeah, the 1840s, the Fox sisters were, I think, kind of like the most famous ones at the time. But all these, like, mediums came out. Seances became really popular. It was, like, parlor tricks and things that were going on. And I guess it really was, like, one of the first big, like, it was like an easy way for women to make money. I think that wasn't selling their bodies. So it became kind of like all the rage in this period of time. Spiritualists movement started, you know, people had forgotten like the first cameras. They're trying to like take photographs of ghosts and stuff, and quite interesting. I'm really excited to read that one. And then we have Chasing Ghosts, which is a tour of our fascination with the spirits and the supernatural. And this one is more of like, you know, it's not as dense with text. It's got a lot of pictures, you know. So it should be a nice quick read. I'm really interested about this one. It also mentions the Fox sisters. So, yeah, I really think that that topic is so fun. I love always learning about what kind of, like, you know, I know that there was a lot of them that were like fraudulent, like what kind of tricks they did, how they lifted tables and had little things to make people believe their seances were real and the ghosts were there. And, you know, we love an entrepreneurial woman, don't we? I sure do. So those are the three that I have left to read for my Halloween vlog. And like I said, I was listening on audio as well. The three that I have, well, the two that I've done so far and the one that I'm currently listening to also are all spooky. So first we did Whistle, which is like old school. I already talked about it, but it's like an old school horror type story, very supernatural, about like possessed trains, toy trains. Then I listened, I'm going to try to stop saying Then I listened to Opium and Absinthe, which, like I said, I thought was more of a vampire story. It is not. It is more of a story dealing with a woman overcoming addiction, finding love, and also trying to figure out who killed her sister, who it appears was killed by a vampire, but, you know, was she? And then finally, right now, I'm listening to The Children on the Hill, Jennifer McMahon, Children on the Hill. It is a monster story. I believe it is somewhat inspired by Frankenstein. I kind of have a suspicion of where the story is going. I'm like 70% of the way. Sometimes my house is very haunted and something haunted just happened. Anyway, two kids living in Vermont in the 70s with their grandmother who works at like a hospital for people who need rehabilitation.
you know, they are a mental health facility and an addiction facility. And one day the grandmother brings home a girl, um, and her grandchildren don't really understand because they don't treat patients. They are used to her like bringing home a guest, you know, someone who isn't fully ready to like get into the halfway house yet, but is done with the hospital. She will like house them for a week or so until they're ready to go out to wherever they're going. And so she brings one home, but this time it's a girl, it's a child, and hospital doesn't um the hospital doesn't admit anybody who is under 18. So, like, where did this little girl come from? Was she at the hospital? She can't be a patient. How does grandma have her? It's a mystery. Grandma's like, don't worry about it. Don't tell anybody about this. Just know that I'm helping her. She doesn't have a family, so on and so forth. And they are really into monsters. The children, they have like a Monster Hunters Club, which they invite her into, and then we cut to present day. I think it's 2019 in the book. Maybe 2018. I don't know. The book is not, you know, it's from a few years ago. And one of the two sisters, I'm assuming, you know, we only get her like new name, I think. So we don't know which of the two sisters, I think, well, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously that we're supposed to believe that is Violet. The sister is grown up now. She still is a monster hunter. She has like a podcast. She's been on shows, chasing monsters, all that kind of stuff. And she has begun to think that her sister from 1978 might be the monsters. Might be because there's a bunch of like missing girls that keep going missing from across the country, and every time they go missing, they say that they have met the like local monster, and then they go missing. And the girl believes that it might be her sister. But yeah, it is interesting so far. So that is what I'm listening to right now. Also, the book that I chose for my first page, most interesting book while I was at the library for October. I never read September's. I tried it again for October. I did read that one. It was The Honeys. It's a little, I don't have it. I've returned it to the library already. But The Honeys, it was good. It wasn't my favorite. I think maybe I gave it like 3 stars. I don't know. That'll be in my October reading wrap up, but The Honeys was the book that I chose for that. It was, it's about a person named Mars. Their sister, Caroline, came home from summer camp and, is attacking Mars. And they are twins. And they are fighting, and they end up falling off of like a balcony. Not a balcony, because it's like inside, but yeah, like the staircase that's like over, you know, a big open space. They're very rich. They live in a big mansion. They fall, and Mars lands on top of Caroline. Caroline is killed. And Mars realizes that Caroline was being a little bit strange recently, and she didn't really want to go back to her camp, which she really, really loved. And Mars wants to get to the bottom of this. Mars is like, there has to be a reason why she was being so weird this summer. And so they enroll back into the camp and are trying to figure out what happened to Caroline before she came back home. And weirdness ensues. It is a little bit bonkers. It was a fun read, but it is just banana cuckoos. But yeah, so that's everything that I've been reading, everything that I've been up to. And yeah, I will see you very, very soon. It has taken me so long to finish filming this. So I will be back in just a few days with my Halloween reading vlog. And yeah, and then I'll see you for my October reading wrap up, and we'll see what's going on in November. Thanks for watching. Bye.